which I'm sure all of you have seen already here on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm here to speak about the IDO, give you some details on how you can register and what you need to do to get some doc tokens for this current IDO.
Well, my name is Adrian Marquez. I'm the founder of Docushield, and been an entrepreneur for quite some time and into crypto since about 2017, and really excited to just come on here with Hidden Profits and talk about Docushield, what we got in the works, and about our IDO coming up.
Awesome. So very excited to have you guys. Thanks again for coming. I think we're going to have a lot of great information in this stream. So let's go ahead and just kind of start with a brief explanation of what Docushield is.
Sure. Yeah, so Docushield I like to explain as pretty much the next step in evolution of document storage. So we're approaching personal cloud storage space in a way that nobody really in Web 2 is doing. And that's by using NFT access and encryption to make sure that the only person that can see the documents that you put on our platform is yourself. So, and we have a whole bunch of technology behind the scenes that makes sure of how we do that, but, it's a little more than just the quick intro. Outside of that, we're a community-driven project, so we need participation from the community because we're launching IPFS private networks that gives people a chance to contribute. So another thing that makes us different from any other storage provider out there for documents or for pretty much anything is that we're going to be relying pretty heavily on everybody out there to participate in our network and operate some IPFS nodes to help us out, and of course, be rewarded in the at the same time.
Great. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to get a feel for is what is the team besides you? Because it seems like we just see you pretty much everywhere, in all these Twitter spaces. So what's the rest of the team look like?
So full time, I got about 5 on with me that are myself, my admin, who is Kadena, and she works at me with the restaurant at the restaurant that we have or that I'm partnered in, and she's the admin over there as well. So she keeps everything together. She puts all the books in line and really keeps my trail of paperwork that I leave behind me nice and organized and ready for an audit or ready for whatever need be. I also have Michael, organizer, and he goes through and he does stuff like organize the giveaways that we have, and it's as to what they want out of our product, and just pretty much supports me on whatever I need assistance with. I have Jules, who we onboarded, who's from Canada, and he's a lot of the social media stuff. Another one who just does pretty much anything I need help with. Right now, we're kind of like tag teaming everything, but he's going to also be geared more at marketing and social media. And then our lead developer, he is also on our team full time, and everybody had the chance to meet him in the webinar that we did. So he's great, full stack dev. And then under us, we have his name's Abdur. I don't think I mentioned that. Then about probably an additional 5 or 6. I mean, some do more than others, but 5 or 6 contractors that I've worked with for a while. And they help us with whatever we need done on the back end and on the front end. But right now it's been pretty. We've been operating on a pretty tight shoestring budget. So our core team has been doing a lot of kind of everything, man, running around. But we're really excited to be able to pick up some additional talent to add to the team and really just kind of streamline development and everything. And even with the team we have right now, who's been doing great, I'm really happy with how far we've been able to come in the past few months.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like you got a pretty decent team there sizing up. But another thing I was wondering is what kind of issues have you guys been having with finding pack developers? I know that's something with the Kadena ecosystem that's very hard to find right now. So how are you guys kind of dealing with that?
Yeah, we're making them internally.
Nice.
People who come on board are existing devs, the people that I've worked with. We throw packs at them right away. Even if it's not necessarily their cup of tea. one of my guys who's my mail admin, he like I threw it at him, and he's just like he's not having it. He's like, I don't understand this. And like the whole functional programming side of things, when you're typically running mail servers, is different for some people. The learning curve is a little bit different, but what I've also been doing is looking at Haskell programmers, and so I've been going and recruiting people who are attempting. Right now I'm in the talks with quite a few, but bringing on board people that are just really experienced with Haskell or Haskell. I'm not really sure how you say it exactly, right? Yeah, but
I think it's Haskell.
Haskell, yeah. Yeah. So
That's
finding
hard
that,
as well, right?
excuse me.
It's hard as well finding Haskell
It's hard
programmers,
as well,
right?
but yeah, it's
Not
definitely
easy.
hard as well. But that's something. I mean, like if I go on Reddit, I can find a lot of like communities around them. If I go on places like Upwork and stuff, like there are people who are pretty versed in Haskell, and yeah, man, that's usually how like over the last 10 years working doing work in marketing. That's really how I find people, is going into Reddit threads and trying to recruit, and going on Upwork. I've even found some like really great people on Fiverr, and then obviously whoever around me. But in my direct vicinity, man, I don't know very many like developers, too many crypto enthusiasts. So I mean, it's been awesome being able to connect with people online, and I think it's been working out great. And then maybe just because I'm used to it, I've been doing outsourcing for talent overseas and stuff for so long. But definitely got some good things. Yeah, the thing that we're gonna do to just really get into Pact and find all the inner workings is, I think, focus on onboarding these Haskell developers, and I also want them to contribute to the documentation, and as far as commenting different parts of Marmalade that are difficult to understand, or Pact itself could really use some updating on understanding what exactly is going on, because there's not really any comments at all that really guide you. But yeah, it's been a tough plan, but I mean, you can definitely, under it all, man, the way it's structured and the security of it is going to be worth the investment of time that we're putting in.
Yeah, I think that's like going to be one of the biggest struggles for a lot of these teams building on Kadena, is to find the Pact devs, because it's just such a small pool that you're kind of working with. So I think that's a great way to go about, kind of getting some builders into this. So also, I did want to say this because I forgot to say it in the beginning. Anybody who has questions, we're going to do that kind of at the end. So, mark your questions down, and then we'll do those at the end. So one of the other things I was wondering is, if you look at kind of all the projects on Kadena right now, you see a ton of, NFT projects and a lot of kind of just the same idea. So what was it about Docushield? Like, how did you guys come to, like, this was the kind of project that you wanted to make, instead of, maybe some of the other things that you had a choice of?
Yeah, man. I've always kind of been drawn. Like initially, when I got into crypto, I was drawn in because of the utility. DeFi wasn't really a thing. Like in 2017, it didn't really exist. Not that I knew of. But I remember first really just like my mind being blown when I came across a project called Power Ledger, and that was where it was like decentralized power. And if you're using solar panels and you gather up all the energy that's sitting in your banks, and you're not using it, to redistribute that to your neighbor who doesn't have solar panels, and then they would pay you back with their power token for that power that they're using. So that was the first thing that kind of like was like boom, like wow, like the technology here really has something. And then of course DeFi came in, and then everybody ran to the 1,000% APR stuff, and which is cool and it's fun. But now it seems like we're at a point where things are kind of going back to the utility, because we see a lot of these projects that have just flopped, or rug pulled, or just couldn't sustain what they were setting out to do. So it's kind of like full circle now. All these years later, it's like perfect. What I love about crypto is finally coming back, and it's coming back in a major way. And now we have the opportunity to really do something. And this idea just kind of spawned at the end of last year when my son was born, and I just have all this documentation and all this paperwork and stuff that I need to keep track of. And unfortunately, Kadena can't follow me around to clean up my messes all the time with my paperwork and keep me organized. So I needed a solution where, if I did upload it to a service, I didn't have to worry about any kind of data breach or somebody with master keys coming in and viewing that information, and just taking what I've learned about crypto over the last, couple years since 2017, and then, what I know about technology, working in software companies and doing marketing for about the last decade at least. Damn. Longer. Putting all that knowledge together just kind of gives me enough to be dangerous. But luckily, I network with some really smart people, some really great devs, and we've been able to bring this whole project to fruition. And we're all definitely driven by the feedback from the community and the want and the need that seems to be out there, for this type of project. And I think now, after all this time, people are finally understanding, it's more than DeFi. Like, there's real world use case to the blockchain and to the Web3 tech out.
Yeah. And like, that's one of the things too, is just like your project stands out like among the rest right now, because there's just really nothing, at least in the Kadena space, there's nothing similar to it. So it's nice to see that you guys are kind of, using the utility that there is there in some different ways that a lot of people aren't exactly, thinking of. So I guess this will lead us into our question for KDLaunch. So Alfonso, I kind of wanted to get an idea of like, what are some of the qualifications that you guys look at when it comes to picking projects? I know you guys are very you want to find good projects that are not, scammy, obviously. So what are some of those qualifications, and why did you guys, want to have Docushield on the Launchpad?
One of the first things that I talked with the owners, the founders of the project, was what kind of projects they were trying to bring into the Launchpad. Because my idea was, I don't feel like we should bring like meme tokens and those Ponzi that, there's a lot of them in the crypto world already, and they were 100% with me. They said, no, we want actually projects with a product that is either done or being done with a proof of concept, or projects that have a good idea and really have a utility in the world. And so I was very happy because they were on the same page as me. And so in the beginning, we scouted for a lot of projects. There weren't that many, and there still are not that many in Kadena, because it's still young. People are still learning about Kadena. But we found a couple good ones like Timpy and Docushield, and we immediately approached them. Actually, some of them approached us. We approached others. And that process is something we are still working on, but we are getting it better and better each week and each month. So right now you can submit your project on KDLaunch page, but we also are looking out for projects that are coming to Kadena. And when we see some project that really, like Docushield, really appeals to us, that says, okay, this is a winner. And we saw Docushield, we saw the utility for the token, for the app, and then we met Adrian. Actually, I didn't. I just met him when we did KDLaunch, and we already were set on doing the IDO for them. But anyone from the team meets them. We know the tokenomics. We know kind of their product, their timings. We dox their team. It's a must. And so there are a lot of different things that we do to make sure that it's a serious project, that it's serious people behind the project, and that it's good for the KDL holders, right? Because we owe our holders to launch good projects and give them something that they can grow with, and not just something to pump and dump. I don't believe a launchpad should be doing that. We should give them investments and not get rich fast tokens. So the process is still being developed, but it's in a place now that is much better than it was like in the beginning, where we were trying to find out how to do that process.
And I think that's one of the great things about KDLaunch. I mean, of course, there's other launch pads on Kadena right now, but you guys are really, taking that first step, getting these projects, these great projects on there. So, I think that's kind of what makes you guys stand out there. Let's go into a little bit of the utility of the doc token. So registration is open right now on the KDLaunch platform. You guys can head over there, get your KYC dealt with. And I wanted to ask you about that also. So get your KYC dealt with, get your wallet in there and get registered so you guys can, get some of that doc token when it's ready. But on the KYC topic, I kind of wanted to just give you, a second to say something about that, because I know there's a lot of people in the Kadena community that aren't exactly the happiest that, if you're in the US, you can't really participate. So could you kind of explain the reasoning on why you guys, go through the KYC process and, yeah.
For me, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. I think any project and any launchpad that is serious about launching real utility tokens needs to do KYC. The risk you take by not doing KYC and launching a project for you and for the project that you're launching is immense. It is what it is right now with the SEC, with all these laws and securities that you need to be aware of. And so for us, there was no option. You need to do KYC. You need to make sure that the projects you're bringing in are secure and won't be facing any legal consequences, and also your users won't have a project that is facing legal consequences because you weren't careful enough. It's unfortunate because we miss out on a lot of people, US, Canada, and there's China, Russia. So there's a lot of countries that we wanted we wanted to bring in everyone. There's no barriers for us, right? The issue is legal, and we advised with the legal team, and this is what we needed to do according to them.
And I think that's a good thing, really, because when you're in these projects and you guys are following the standards of what legally needs to be done, it can give people a lot more sense of comfort, especially with the looming regulations. We never know when those could swoop in, and you don't want to have a project going and then have regulations come in and just kind of stop it dead in its tracks. So I think it's good that you guys are doing that, and all the U.S. people, you guys just kind of got to realize it is what it is, and we got to take that up with our people that are in charge. It's not really.
Call your senators and make noise, because our hands are tied right now.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
So so let's go into a little bit of utility for the doc token and kind of what it can do in terms of people that are going to be investing in it. What are kind of some of the pluses on their sides, with like staking and other earning options.
Sure. So right now, in between our two IDOs, we're going to be doing 2 rounds. The first one's to just finish up the project, the app, and then also lay out our infrastructure for other people to build upon. So the token's going to be driving all of the payments on the, but also all of the other plugins that we build in over time. So to kind of just break down what exactly I was just saying, as we built our app, and that was initially just the first, what we were going to be doing, building this Docushield app to, have personal cloud storage. But the more that we've interacted with people and talked to people, we've seen there is a much greater need, for privacy and for security outside of just, your personal little, your personal use case for your own individual items. So, the use cases just kept coming and coming and coming, and we're like, wow, man. So we really need to do something to facilitate this and give people what everybody wants: decentralization, the security, and the privacy, right? So now we're doing, Docushield's our flagship product, and it's going to remain that way. But we're building an infrastructure on the back end that's actually going to be a software that is going to utilize Docushield and other things like our node operator, our decentralized email service. These are all going to be plugins to that infrastructure that you guys can, that people can tie into their account, link up, and control it all kind of center. We're also, that opens up the whole door of, having our own backbone API microservices, and then also being able to drop SDKs for developers to come in and actually build on top of our platform as well. So using a marketplace or having a marketplace available that's completely revolved around privacy, security, and decentralization is going to really also add some great value to the Doc token, because everything's going to run on the Doc token as well. So not only the app that we're building right now, it's going to be the first thing to come out, and it's going to be the most important thing. We're laser focused on getting the Docushield app out. But at the same time, while we're building this, we're also making sure that that's going to tie in to our infrastructure as a plugin in the proper way. And then again, so that opens up a world of usage for the Doc token behind what we build in the future. Then also what other developers out there come and put on our marketplace. It's all going to be paid for or using the Doc token. And then also our node operations, which is essentially just using an instance of IPFS, interplanetary file system, which is an open source kind of data decentralization and peer-to-peer sharing. It's going to be used like you would stake the Doc token to open up an instance of IPFS, right? Contribute to our network, and in return, you would get Doc as a reward as well. So that's another thing that it's going to be used for, is just that staking mechanism. With our email platform that we've been slowly picking at as we still work on this other stuff. I mean, we're still a small team, so it's like we got to focus on Docushield, but at the same time, there's all these other fun things that we're like, man, I want to get to that too. But yeah, that we're going to put a staking mechanism behind too, where if you stake Doc, you just have access to your email, and as long as the Doc token's staked, or you could just pay for it upfront with Doc or with KDA, and at the year rate. So we're really going to put the usage and the utility behind the token geared around what the platform has to offer and what services are going to be on there. And I can already tell you, man, there's going to be a lot that we put out and that we're working on as we go. And then I know that there's a lot of people that, most of what we have slated is ideas from community members. So, as this grows, there's going to be more and more ideas and people doing cool stuff and building on top of that platform that we developed. So, and then that's all going to be tied back to, our Doc token.
Sweet. So, with that, so this token is going to be used, for uploading the files. You're going to use that to pay for it, right? So, that's based off of file size, right?
Based off file size, yeah.
Okay, and then go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, and make that easy. Another thing that kind of separates us from other Web3 projects that may be similar is that we're really geared towards onboarding the masses, right? It's not only made for people who are already in crypto and know how to operate a wallet and all this stuff and know about the blockchain, but really, I want to onboard anybody who is concerned with this privacy, right? So the Doc token, when it's inside of the application, we're pretty much going to be presenting it as as credits. And I always use the example as like if you go to a TouchTunes jukebox, pretty much just an app that you download on your phone, and you need credits to play a song. So if I want to play American Girl, I gotta have 2 credits available. Now if I don't, it just says, hey, you want to buy $10 worth of token or credits, $20, $50, and then you select what you want to do. And we're going to take the same approach. We're going to say, okay, you want to submit this document? Cool. You need some Doc tokens. You want to buy $10 worth, $20 worth, $50 worth? And then once you make that purchase using the fiat on-ramp that we're still, deciding who we're going to use, once you make that purchase, you're going to have that filling in your wallet, and it's going to slowly get chipped away at by all the transactions. And then once you're done, or once you depleted those tokens, same thing's gonna happen again. Hey, looks like you're out. Buy a couple more, $5 worth, whatever you want to do. That's really gonna stop us from having to go to that that monthly membership model too, which I absolutely hate.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to things like backing up files and stuff that you need access to. And most of the time, when I need access to my important files, man, I'm not in the best place. And financially, it just seems to work out that way. So I don't want to have to worry about paying my my Dropbox bill, or having to choose between that and gas, just because I need access to those documents. So really, we're trying to solve that as well. Just letting people, once it's uploaded, they have full rights to it forever, and they don't have to keep paying into our membership to be able to keep access.
And I think it's really smart on your guys' point to be like focusing more on like people who don't know, how to use wallets, how to do all this stuff, right? Because a lot of these projects, they assume that everybody, like the general public, is going to understand how to use their platform. So I think it's really smart that you guys are kind of aiming for that, that easy usability. So also, what do you guys have like a ratio for like gigabytes per like whatever, how much it's going to cost, or what's that look like?
Yeah, man. So, doing the math and actually putting something out there that's going to allow us to be sustainable and profitable as a company. The rate's going to sit between 25, the golden, area is between 25 and 50 cents a gig. Obviously we lean towards 50 cents a gigabyte.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing the math, you're actually saving a lot of money when you're paying for it in a transactional way,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to a lifetime of membership. So and that allows us still to, at those rates, 50 cents a gig, to really be able to be profitable and compete with the big boys out there.
I think that's a pretty great price point, to be honest with you. So something else I was wondering is, what does the upload times look like? So if I've got a like large file, how long is it going to take me to get it on the platform?
Yeah, man, great question. Documents quick, right? Real fast. But recently, during our beta testing, because we're doing our testing rounds, which we're doing right now, one of the people who was testing, we said upload a file of your choice. We gave like 20 tasks. And they're like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to upload the APK that you just sent me, and we'll see how long that takes. And we'll see how that goes. I didn't even think of doing that yet. And it was slow, and it ate up a lot of resources. And that's something we anticipate. But it really opened our eyes to like the user experience on the back end. So that's all done with AES 256, which is, with all the phones and computers that we have right now, usually that's instantaneous. But still, at the same time, when you have a larger document that's going to eat up resources, it could crash the phone or your machine and just cause problems. So we're really experimenting now with changing the type of encryption based on the size of the file. That way it doesn't eat up, and also device. That way it doesn't eat up too much of your resources. Mm-hmm. And like we experienced in our MVP testing, kind of frees up the platform. And I mean, that's the reason we test. And that's a whole reason there's an MVP for beta. It's because we want to see these things in action. So now, I mean, we're experimenting with Twofish, which is another method of encryption. It's like Blowfish was its father, and now it's predecessor Fish, which is a lot quicker, and it's just quicker as AES, except it's not as like, AES was selected by the CIA to be like the pinnacle of encryption. But I mean, that's not to be said. There's not tons of great encryption methods out there. Twofish being one of them, that is going to be quicker and less resource intensive. And so, now learning that through our testing, that's something that we're going to move forward in our beta implement. And then we might find out else, in further testing after that, it's going to, have us take another route. But software is something that's ever growing, always expanding. And I'm glad it's something we learn right now. And, still at this day and age, it's still difficult when you get to those large files on your phone to do that in local, which is something we want to keep doing.
Yeah, so it's good you guys are getting that figured out, way beforehand. So next thing I kind of wanted to jump into was the way that you guys actually utilize NFTs, which is something that personally is very attractive to me. I am not big into NFTs whatsoever. I think spending a bunch of money on just a picture is kind of ridiculous. But I like the idea of NFTs and, how you can use them. We've seen, the idea of soulbound NFTs popping up here now. So I think that there's a large amount of potential for NFTs, ways that they can be used that people just haven't really tapped into yet. So could you actually explain the way that you guys are using NFTs?
Yeah, and first of all, that's all about NFT. When I first heard of it, man, that it's just how did we not think of this before? This is
honestly
such an awesome use case. But so we're trying to find a way to implement that as well. Not obviously not copying exactly what they're doing, but anyway, that's a whole different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So our NFTs pretty much operate. They're not even really images. I mean, we could tie an image to them if we want, but at this point, it's just metadata, right? So when you upload your document, I'll kind of start from the beginning. It gets encrypted, right? And then you have your encrypted document and you have the key, right? Now, and then you also have this other file, which is a bunch of metadata that tells us a little bit about the wallet address and all that stuff. Now, these are uploaded to two different IPFS instances or networks. And, after they're encrypted, and then a CID is pushed out. So the CID is how you find that content on IPFS, right? And so once the smart contract hears, they're listening for this CID, and they're also matching wallet address. So they're listening for a matching wallet address from three different networks. First, the networks that hold it, then the other private network that holds the file, and then the other private network that holds the metadata, right? Once that happens, the NFT gets minted, and those CIDs get encrypted into the metadata of the NFT, right? So now we have this encrypted data that tells me where this file lives. Now, nobody can decrypt that data except the person using asymmetric cryptography. Nobody can decrypt that data except the user that had generated that NFT. So it can only be decrypted using by having the secret key of the generating wallet, right? So if it came from your wallet, the only way that it would get encrypted is to be right back at home inside of your wallet, because the key to that would be the secret key that is living in your wallet. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that works. Store this encrypted content identifier that lives up on our IPFS network, and the only way you'll ever get that content identifier is by that NFT being right there at home with you.
Awesome. And now you can actually set it up to where you can have a separate NFT key for another user, right?
What we're working on right now, yes. So it's going to be using two at the same time. We'd have to know that user's wallet address, their public wallet address would have to be given to us. And then when we send it over to them, we don't need to know their secret key. We just need to know that the way the cryptography works, it'll recognize and be able to decrypt once it's at home, and it finds pretty much like the other piece to that puzzle. Once it finds its match secret. So yeah, man. As long as I know, if I'm gonna send something to Alfonso, as long as I know his public address, then I can encrypt that. And even if I get that NFT, I'm not going to be able to decrypt what I sent to Alfonso, because the key to it is his secret key that's living in the wallet, right? Now, so the thing that's going to be difficult, or that we're still experimenting with that is burning the NFT after you see it once, or after a store or something like that, because it may be that I want to show you something once, proof of ID or birth certificate or something like that, but I don't want you to have access to it forever. So now that's where we really need to get in and tap into our people with the Haskell or the Haskell knowledge to really go in there and hack the hell out of Marmalade and allow us to get some cool burning mechanisms based on what we need. But yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap, and I feel like it's something that's attainable. We just need to like I said, hack away at it, man, and keep testing.
Yeah, I really love the use of NFTs with your guys' project. I think it's really smart. When I first originally heard that that's what you guys are doing, I was like, wow, okay. So they're really looking at this from a different viewpoint than a lot of other people are. So that's awesome. So let's see here. I figure we could go ahead and discuss the nodes, because this is actually something I'm personally interested in to kind of understand it a little bit more. So can you kind of discuss the nodes and like what they're for, and maybe like, how rewards work for those?
Yeah, man, and the nodes, like, 'cause that's the next stage we're going into. Now that we have like the base of the app done, I mean, we're gonna obviously keep working on it and perfecting it based on all the feedback we get in testing. But now it's like, all right, cool, let's build these private networks. And the nodes are essentially instances or of IPFS. So IPFS is essentially a software that's on your server, and it allows you to participate in a network that distributes, all this decentralized data. And it also holds a ledger and updates the ledger of where this data lives. It holds the CID. So we're launching 3 networks, and in order to do that, we need to obviously be a part of this network. Now, the barrier to entrance is pretty low. I mean, if you look at IPFS, if you go on their website and actually look at, participating in their public network, it doesn't take much, man. So, I mean, we're really going to take that and use it to our advantage and try and create a really widespread network. I know there are people out there like Filecoin. It's a whole different solution and everything, but I mean, I was super stoked about it when I first heard about it, and then come to find out that in order to participate, you got to have like this supercomputer, and it's literally I'd have to put out like 50K into a computer just to participate. But when you look at IPFS, it's like I'm wondering like why are they doing that? Like, you don't need all that to participate. Filecoin is based on IPFS. Like, you just need a couple gigs extra memory, dude. Like a half a terabyte is more than enough. Like 250 gigs would be more than enough to participate. Obviously, the more resources you have and storage you have, the more you're going to be able to contribute. But I'd rather have a wider network than like a small network full of these centralized people that got these big ass computers. So I mean, really, we're going to try and make the barrier for entrance as low as possible. And when I mean low, I mean like if you can go and on your personal machine, you can partition your hard drive and you can install, another OS like Linux and run IPFS on there, and tie into our private network just by using the key, the secret that allows you to tie into a private network, and you can participate immediately, just like that, like from your machine, from your laptop, by allocating whatever resources you want. Not like we need all your resources, man. And even like cooler is cooler for me because we're into this, but I got a Raspberry Pi that I've been meaning to play around with recently, and I was just like, wait a minute, like that thing can handle what I'm trying to do right here. And so spun up an instance on a Raspberry Pi and was able to connect to public IPFS and be a contributor. So now it's like, dude, we can make small, like energy efficient, essentially miners, that people are going to go out and be able to, like, if we prepackage them, we're going to be able to sell them, and people are going to be able to just spin it up and be on their way. We just need to tie the pieces together to create a nice graphical user interface to make it really easy for people that don't know CLI or don't know anything about IPFS to be able to do. And that's the next step with our node ops. I really want to make it from the ground, from when we open the doors to it, I want to make it easy, right? Like you flip it on and you turn it off. Because honestly, we don't need people to have that much control over the IPFS instance. The less control, the better, to be honest, since a platform based on security. We don't want people digging around the servers or anything. All they would find is encrypted data anyway that they wouldn't be able to decrypt. But still, I mean, there's no need. So there's really just a few things that we need to integrate with as far as IPFS goes. We need to be able to put the secret key in that tells them what network to participate in, and then also be able to reboot, turn it off, turn it on, be able to unpin something. So if we want something off our network, give everybody the CID, they unpin that, and it would just kind of disappear. So those are really, I mean, I'm more, and if people out there know more than me about IPFS, sorry. I mean, it's still definitely a learning curve, but I really think that that's about all we need to get people to participate. So the GUI, I don't envision being too difficult to really get going. So I mean, that's our next thing is at that, bringing out our node operations and easily onboarding people by just like the flip of the switch or plugging in a certain, secret key that connects them to our network. Boom, you're right there. We're running.
I think it's really, really important too that you guys are making the barrier to entry very low. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten excited about a project and found it and wanted to get into it and contribute, to the network or whatever, and then boom, you've got to drop, 3, 4, 5K right off the bat, which to a lot of people they're never going to do that, right? So it's great there that you're giving everybody the availability to participate. So that's awesome. One of the other things is there going to be any tiers for these nodes, or is it just going to be basically just one node?
Yeah, so we're going to do bare minimum is going to be free. Kind of like you don't have to stake tokens, but you just need to run an instance. There's no requirements for the RAM, the capacity. Then we're going to have 3 levels of participation where you would have to stake different amounts of Doc token. Again, it's not going to be anything ridiculous to start. But we're still working out the numbers. I'm going to put a Medium article out actually today about that. And so, after this, I'm going to finalize that article and get it out by tonight. But there's going to be 3 different tiers, and then they're going to go by the amount of storage that you provide, and the processing power that you have, and then also the amount of tokens that you stake. And our barrier to entrance really still playing around with the numbers, but it's going to be like under $500, maybe 500 top, full worth of Doc token, which will, be up and down based on, what the price is. But it's going to be around there, man. But then also there's going to be the free way to participate that you're still going to get an APR on. But it helps us to lock up the tokens, and keep them off the market. So we also want to be able to clear that system out and those, keep those tokens away from being sold.
Right. So, one of the other things I was personally interested in was your guys' use of like the private networks, right? So, do you guys use like the layer 2 Kuro or Kuro, however you say it, and kind of how does the IPFS thing all work? I'm not really technical enough to understand, so maybe could you explain like what the use case is for the private network thing, and when things are going to be on the public network and when things are going to be in the private?
Definitely, yeah. So Kuro, in our initial draw out diagram of how the app is going to operate, then we got a lot of people telling us like code. They don't talk to each other, Kadena and Kuro, you're going to need wallets, yada, yada, yada. It's not going to work. And we're like, well, we really wanted the NFT into on Kuro. That way, if anybody's kind of like trying to follow your wallet around and see like what you're up to, being all Snoopy, then they wouldn't be able to, because it's all behind the private. And then the financial transactions, when we're taking money from people or when people are swapping out fiat for Doc or whatever, that was going to be on Kadena's main chain because it has to, right? Anything like that when we're dealing with fiat cash needs done in public. But now we're kind of like, all right, we kind of tossed the Kuro thing aside. And then now that we're talking to more like Haskell developers, they're like, well, no, we can do this. It just needs to be built. Like the language needs to be updated to be able to do this. So, now I'm like, oh, cool. Well, what do we got to do? Like, let's... How hard is it going to be? How long is it going to take? Because really that added level of privacy, man, is much. And if it's not something we do immediately, I want it to be something that is there, a part of it, eventually, hopefully before mainnet, but, even later. Like, if we have to, make an upgrade to do that, it was something I would gladly bite the bullet on and do, because that adds to the privacy that we initially in the product. So, so Kuro would maintain that, and it would take stress off of the Kadena main chain if this does, or when, this does go global and we onboard mass amounts of users, that stress from minting those NFTs and doing the encryption on them and all that stuff will be offloaded to Kuro, which we'll be maintaining privately. And that'll also give us the opportunity to have additional members participate in maintaining that ledger and essentially another node or mining opportunity. Now, so that is Kuro and Kadena as two different blockchains, right? Now, IPFS is essentially kind of like a blockchain in itself, right? Maintains a ledger, people add to that ledger, and it's really a way for you to fragment and distribute your data across, their entire network of participants. So when something gets uploaded to IPFS, I know Action CEO actually corrected me on this the other day. It's not fragmenting; it's starting. So when that data gets started across the entire network, you're participating in updating that ledger as to where everything is, pulling that back together. And the benefit of that is if somebody who's holding a piece of that data, like a fragment of that data or a little chunk of it, if they go offline and aren't on the network no more, mathematically, kind of the way RAID works, you would be able to put that file back together, right? You'd be able to say, okay, between everything else I have, I can tell that it's missing this bit. And then you can mathematically, honestly, don't even really know how it works. Besides, it figures it out, dude. And it's like, okay, well, here's the missing pieces, cool computer magic, and then, all right, it's all one file again. So that's the benefit. And I don't really understand RAID either, but I use it on my home network. I get what it does, but mathematically, I have no idea how it's done. But yeah, that kind of technology is what IPFS is all about, man. Except that IPFS is all public, like it's paid for the public, and nothing on there like the content ID. Whereas we are using that same tech, except we are closing off the network. Like not anybody can participate. You have to go through and participate with our secret, right? And then you're a part of our network. Plug in there. Yeah, that's the main difference. And also in regular IPFS, everything that's uploaded doesn't get encrypted first. On our networks, every single thing that lives on those networks is going to be encrypted before even touching that network.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a great use of kind of putting those things that need to be more private on that private blockchain and keeping the things that need to be public. So that about wraps it up for the questions that I have. So now I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Any of you guys here in the chat that would like to ask a question, if you have a question, for Adrian or Alfonso, you can ask, but just try to put like Docushield or KDL or whatever before the message. That way we kind of get an idea of who the question needs to go to. But yeah, Adrian, I just kind of want to take a second to, say that I really do notice, and I think the whole community notices, like the hard work that you guys have been putting in. The constant, hustle with the AMAs is honestly really impressive. I don't really know how you find the time to keep up with it all, but it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I've literally dropped everything else in my life. So that's and luckily I'm at a point where I could, take a little time off and really pursue this. And now it's looking like it's definitely more going to be like the full-time thing. And I'm really grateful, man, for everybody out there in the community that's just been like, a driving force behind us building. And for KDLaunch, who when they first approached me about this, like, I thought it was a scam, dude. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, no one's gonna launch us. Be quiet. And then I was, oh, wait a minute, like, for real? Like, really? And now just seeing this amazing opportunity, like, here, like, it's not something we take for granted. I feel blessed every day, man. And we really are going to use this to put out this product that we just that we live and breathe on right now, man. So thank you guys, and thank you to everybody at KDL and yourself as well, man, for just having us here, letting us do what we love to do.
Yeah, man, I love to try to give you guys a platform. I think you're, it's there's a lot of projects out there, but not as many, that are really putting in that hard work to get where they need to be. So I really applaud you guys for that. Same with KDLaunch. I think you guys are doing a great job, just bringing these great projects out, and keeping the community moving forward. Because we've had our stops and stalls with Kadena. We've had our issues. So it's nice to see that everything's kind of starting to come together and we're moving forward. So it's great.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
So I don't really see a lot of other questions. Somebody asked if something was, what did he say? Quantum computer resistant. Is Docushield quantum computer resistant?
No, that's a great question, and so that really comes down to whether or not the blockchain quantum saying it is. Is quantum computer resistant? The encryption that we have cannot be broken. And and the IPFS networks, if they get rated and if everything exposed, that's still the only thing that's going to be exposed is encrypted data that they would have to get through AES or two-fish encryption, and then they would just have a fragment of it. And so if all of this happened, they still would not be able to access your data. So, I mean, I could say yes, for what I know now, man, and maybe if you have a rebuttal for that, please let me know, because that's something I need to learn and need to know. But yeah, man, I think we're quantum resistant at this point, and hopefully, we know how fast the computer industry moves. We'll see what's next. But yeah, right now, man, I have every confidence in the architecture of the platform.
All right, we got another question here for Docushield. What sort of backup contingency protocols do you have in case of a compromised account?
So if somebody gets their seed phrase, I'm guessing, or something like that, that would be a compromised account. Now, essentially everything, even in our infrastructure, every plugin and everything is going to be a wallet at its core. And so, I can get more into that. I'll probably just do a Medium article on it because it's a little rough to explain. But the only way to really have it compromised is to have your seed or your secret key and access it that way. And, we don't back up any of that stuff. That's kind of the whole point behind this, is that we don't have your info, and there's no secondary. Even if we did back it up, it's like, how would we get it back to you? We would need to know. We don't keep enough information on you, really, to be able to, if everything was wiped away. But for IPFS, when we get a widespread network, man, like, they would literally have to knock the internet off the grid to be able to wipe all that data out. Because, like I said, that fragmented data, that distributed data, or that sharded data really ensures that even if somebody who's hosting a chunk of that goes offline, that they would be able to supplement that mathematically. So there's no real backup, honestly, that we're going to be keeping like on AWS or Flux Container or anything like that.
That's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
Of your app. You own the keys, you own your info, no one else does. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense that you would have a backup, because that would centralize the whole thing.
Exactly.
I agree.
And we do with the Web 2 kind of login, like on our app, you can log in with Facebook, log in with Google. And that does, we also are going to put a disclaimer in there saying that, okay, if you're doing this method, then that does centralize your login, because we need to be able to retrieve that information for you, right? So there is that, but that's going to be handled with access stuff on our side. And we're still going to keep our hands off of your seed phrase and all that, but grant access to enter the app and enter your wallet.
But it's a person's choice, right? If someone chooses to hand you that info, to let you handle their login, that's someone's choice. But if you choose to be your own carrier of the keys, that you need to also have the notion that you are the owner of the keys, the only one. So you need to be very careful with that.
Exactly. And we plan on educating people about the difference between the two accounts, through our app, and allow them to make the best decision for how they want to approach, their account with us.
All right, so we got another question here. Why did you guys choose Kadena as the layer 1 to run Docushield on?
Yeah, no problem. So I got into Kadena, I don't know how to say that one, or Haskell.
Potato.
By mining. Yeah, no. And I was just looking for the cheapest miner I could find, I was like budget mining, dude. So I went on Gold Sale and I came across the KD box and I did some research on it before I bought it. And I was like, oh, like I got to the white paper first, because I was just like Kadena white paper. And I was like, oh, hold on a second. I need to read this like 10 times to be able to absorb it. But the more I read into it and stuff, I was just amazed by the tech. I love work, So that was one of the main things. Now that just drew me to purchasing the miner, first of all. But then after that, it was like I got involved with the Kadena community. Things shot up. Like I was mining when it was 34 cents a token. I think it was starting when I first started mining, and then it shot up to like 20 something. And I was like, if I wasn't gas money the whole time, I'd be like balling there. But I used it just as a kind of pocketbook. But anyway, like got into the community, just seeing like, oh, what's driving the price up? Like, what's going on that I'm not seeing? And I started seeing all these like projects being built, and I got introduced to Pact and functional programming and the concept behind that, and just the fact that it checks itself for bugs, and as it's compiling when you're writing up programs, it's amazing, man. And the technology and the thought that was put into developing Pact and that's continued to put on, into the Pact language is awesome, and so that's really what the driving force was. We just need the proper documentation to support that, all of the amazing aspects of it. But yeah, man, the Pact language and proof of work is what really did it for me.
Yeah, that the security is just it's pretty much unbeatable. So we have another question here. I just wanted to understand how profit will be generated for Docushield.
Sure. Yeah, and that is going to be by charging per gigabyte or the file. It's pretty cut and dry. We aren't going to pay much for storage. We have a community that is going to be doing storage for us, and we're incentivizing the community with the rewards that we've built into our tokenomics, right? So when people come in and pay fiat and get rewarded doc, they're going to be given that, and it's really important that we become profitable really fast because we do want to avoid SEC regulation. And when you're taking investments like an ICO, an IDO, you need to be profitable. And this is there's a lot of gray area with the regulations put out or what's even the info that's available, but we need to become profitable within our first year to be avoided in the long term in security. So for our first year, every time somebody does a fiat transaction and purchases stock, that is going to go towards our bank account, right? To prove that we are going to be profitable. Now, after, we get their regulation, and that's to kind of be safe. After that, redistributing that fiat back into doc is definitely on the agenda to do, but initially we have to prove that we're going to be profitable. And the way that we're going to do that is by all the doc that gets switched and sold to the end user for fiat is going to go and be reported as a profit or as income.
Awesome. So now we got a wonderful question here for KDL. Where can they get more information about how to get in on the IDO?
Okay, so that's on our website, KDLaunch.com. You can read through the FAQ on the About section. I don't know if you can share maybe later on the video, on the description or something, the link. But you can go to the FAQ and
it's in the description. You guys can go check it out. Go ahead.
Yeah, it has all of the info. Also, if you have any questions, just go to our Telegram or Discord. We have people all the time there to answer your questions. And also, our Medium explains the process of all the IDOs. We have a very detailed one for Docushield right now up, stating the dates, what you need to do. And finally, if you want to register and still aren't sure how, we just put out a tutorial video like 2 days ago, where it's me just going through all the process of purchasing KDL on KDSwap, registering, and then just registering for the IDO. So you just go ahead and see all of those links, and I think you'll be set.
Sweet. All right. So Let's see here. Will liquidity be made available for public adoption marketing strategies, and when will they be implemented? I'm assuming that's for Docushield.
Yeah, no, does include liquidity. How much Doc token is going to be set aside for liquidity, and from all the KDA raised during our IDO, 25% of that is going to be stored in a separate wallet for liquidity. So a quarter of all your investments are going to go towards marketing, and making sure that that it's as stable as possible as far as the amount of liquidity that's available, no failed transactions and stuff like that. And that's from both ICOs that we're doing. A quarter dedicated completely to liquidity. On KD swap, of course, first, and then whatever's out in the space, after that. And also, man, I love how you guys X out of your back pocket, like, boom. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, here's an announcement, we got a Dex, and then the next week it's like, all right, here you go, have fun. So yeah, man, I'm driven by the work ethic at KDL and KDS as well, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. What is the max allocation for the IDO? And he says, or allocation levels.
So for the Docushield IDO, the allocation there's two allocations. There's one for whitelist, and there's one for the regular allocation for KDL holders or fair distribution round. The allocation for the whitelist, I believe it's $400. Adrian, are you? It's that, right? Yeah, $400 for the whitelist and 1.25K for the regular allocation. This is all in KDA, but the price will be set closer to the starting date, because the market is very unstable now. It wouldn't be fair for people to buy now, and the price could go down or the other way around. So we are just waiting a little bit to set the price in KDA. But these are the prices for allocations: whitelist 400 and guaranteed allocation 1.25K.
All right. So it looks like that's about all of the questions. So we're going to just go ahead and wrap this up. I want to give a big thanks to both of you guys for coming over here and doing this. I had a lot of fun. Also, anybody that watching, I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. Make sure that if you're interested, go and get registered for that IDO. And make sure you guys are following KDLaunch and Docushield so you guys can stay up to date with anything else that they put out and any further updates. So, yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you.